Okay, DPW board meeting is called to order. It's 7:02. Roll call.
Day present.
Rashad here. Minutes of October 12th. You guys had a chance to read them?
Can't tell a lie. No.
Okay.
I did.
I did as well. I didn't have a problem with them, but
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second. All in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay. Public session. Public session, Whitney, is for people who want to speak. You could speak if you wanted to.
Fact.
Anyone? No one's here? No, Whitney's not speaking. Okay, 4, green burial.
All right, good evening, everybody. I think it's been a while since we've seen you guys, but it really hasn't been that long. We only got pushed off one day.
Yeah.
So the first thing we want to talk about was green burials. So Rich Lane, the chairman of the Board of Health, reached out to me. He had been approached by a resident who wanted to do what's called a green burial at their home. And he didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. Blaine had brought it up to me as well. It was all brand new to me, so they had to do some research. I did some research, and green burials are essentially when you bury somebody without a vault or a casket or anything like that. They pretty much just, there's different things that go about it. I don't want to get into all the traditions. I don't know them. But essentially, the reason that it's in front of us is it's by state law controlled by the Board of Health. So that's why it went to Rich Lane. And they realized that they had no sort of policy, procedure, anything for this. So they have been working on creating a policy or a procedure for it. So he sent us a draft, and that draft does include right now, because he's got it from like other towns and whatnot, some language around our cemeteries. So this does not mean that it needs to be in there. This does not mean, it's just what we put in there for this draft. So the discussion that I think we should have is, do we stand anywhere on them? Do we have a stance? Do we not? Where do we want to go with it? What do we want to respond to Rich? Or respond to the Board of Health with comments on the highlighted section of this. I guess it would be a policy. It's not a bylaw. This is what we're just a policy. Just like we have certain policies, our mailbox reimbursement, stuff like that. So the way that this reads now, it essentially says that it's allowed with the written approval of the Board of Health and you guys.
Why?
So, we can just, I can have them take it out. We can say, they would need to approach the cemetery committee or the DPW board. There's a number of different ways we could go about this. You wanted me to put it in front of you. I've never had anyone come ask us.
Right.
Never had it be a thing.
So this is on their property.
Not necessarily.
The request.
Well, they're not gonna dig up the road.
So the request he got was on their property. Was on a personal property.
So that's got nothing to do with us.
So they realized that they had no policy on this, and per state law, the Board of Health is supposed to have a policy, so they're writing a policy. And right now, we're part of that policy, and that's why we're bringing it to you guys. If we want to remain part of the policy, or if we want to change the language to only have it be, we don't want to be part of this policy, that's what the question is tonight.
Oh, Ryan, we're in charge of the cemeteries.
Yep.
And if we were going to allow green burials in our cemeteries, that would be something worth considering or discussing before we decide anything. We'd have to see what the ramifications are
Absolutely.
and read all of this. There's a lot of information on it. I did not have time to read it all.
Mm.
And if I didn't have time to read it all, I'm not sure you guys even had a chance to look at it.
I
As you
skimmed
guys-
over it.
what, you,
I skimmed over it.
yeah, okay, but there's so many articles and things about what's involved with towns allowing it in their cemeteries. I'm not sure I want to touch it right now, but I'm not sure I don't want to touch it. I mean, I don't want to say no, but we haven't actually had a request, have we?
No.
All right, so as far as private property is concerned, it doesn't affect us at
concern us
all,
At all. It's only, this is only about our cemeteries.
our cemetery.
Yeah,
So what I would propose, if you guys would be all right with this, is that we put this off from a decision standpoint, that we get take the time to educate ourselves about what that means. Because I have no clue, do we have to change other things that are in our regulations existing in order to allow it? And do we even want to allow?
right. I mean,
And I
don't.
I don't-
To
I-
me, I don't. My knee jerk reaction is no.
it? Yeah,
I have
that was
no
mine
reason
too.
To, I would rather have a vault. I think it creates logistical problems in the
Mhm.
future.
That's what I
Yep.
was just gonna
You
say.
you know, you get sinking, you think of the pine boxes, like was my first
Hmm.
inkling. You talk to some people and they say, well, it's gonna come in the future. I'm like, okay, well, let's deal with it when it comes at this point. It's kind of the way that I'm going about it, from our standpoint. That's exactly what the Board of Health's doing right now. They're dealing with it as it's come to them.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So this isn't them trying to be knee jerky or anything. They're just trying to make sure that they have a policy in place. So, I mean, I would propose at this point that they just totally remove this bullet point B from
Hmm.
this policy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because as of right now, the way our rules and regs are worded, it says all caskets must be in a concrete vault. The only thing that doesn't need to be in a vault is an urn. It doesn't need to be those. So I mean, I guess that to me covers it, you know?
Right.
But if it ever came up, we could talk about it. Now you have some sort of background on it, but like I said, it's never come up for us.
Yeah,
You ever had anyone sell a lot, never asked you about it?
No. But
Never heard of it.
cremation I did today was a little different because it was wasn't in an urn, it was in a box that will decompose itself.
Yep.
It was just a, 10 by 10 square. I'm like, wow, this is different. I never saw that
Was it
before.
cardboard or was it like?
Basically was,
Okay.
yeah. And it had a little tag on it and said, this will decompose as the time goes on, And I'm like, that's different. That's the
So
first,
you won't find that cremation when you go to probe it someday.
Like, that's different.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the first time I ever saw that. And I was like, okay, this is.
Well, it's a little different than
Yeah.
finding bones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And the real concern and the reason that they put it under the Board of Health is the disease,
Right.
the groundwater, all that stuff.
Yeah, if you've got a well or something
That's
close to you,
right.
you don't.
Especially with the private home ones that have the wells, you don't want it. There's 400 feet from that.
yeah,
100 feet from a private well, there's all sorts of, they would probably have to go approve the location or something.
well, it just seems like, yes, it's interesting, but it doesn't really affect us
Right.
for private land stuff. It just
Correct.
seems like who would want to do that on a private land unless they're gifting the,
There's a lot of people out there.
yeah,
So-
there are, go ahead. And-
My opinion, right off the bat, is I will agree with you, Lane, that we need to spend a little time and read this and study and think about it and educate ourselves. I glanced through it from your email. And it is what it is. My knee jerk, my very first thought process was, we should not distance ourselves from it too far. I don't know that we can or should have oversight over private property, but my very first concern is at some time and point, be it now or 30 years from now, that property will get sold. Now you have a burial site on a private piece of property. How is that dealt with in the future? That's my knee jerk. I want an answer to that. And again, I did not have time to study this and think about this.
Good point, though, for sure.
That is the we're not talking about a 5,000 acre ranch that they bury their family members on. And it's different
Animal, even the animal, yeah.
animals, whatever.
Yeah.
What happens with resale? How do the new buyers, and this isn't a question for us. I'm
Right,
just
this is
No,
a
that
question
is-
for the Board of Health,
This is a
right?
question for the Board of Health, but again, it's my very first,
Yeah, that's a great question.
how do,
The deed disclosure or something?
how does disclosure, how does the Board of Health deal with that? And again, nothing to do with us, but I'm thinking, I'm looking out for the Board of Health. How do they deal with that? Have they thought about that? I don't know.
They do addition on the house and all of a sudden
Right,
they
so-
dig it.
You don't want to disturb the remains, should that be what the current owners like in 30 years. Sooner or later,
Yeah.
all property will get sold,
He's
no
not-
matter what. It
No,
will
he
come out of the family, it might be 100 years, doesn't matter. How do you deal with that? That's my larger
Troublemaker.
concern right now tonight,
Interesting.
but
Yeah, I
again, I think we should defer this to a later time,
When it comes up.
so we have time to process and
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So
Agree.
I think in the short term though, because they're gonna wanna do their policy, right?
Well, if
The
they-
Board of Health.
if
I
they-
mean, it's more them than us.
No, I know, but there's pieces in here right now, so I'll ask them to remove this highlighted section
Well, wait a
that
minute.
talks about
I
cemeteries.
agree that they should remove the part that it's only about home burials that they can talk about. That when it comes to cemeteries, it appears that something's fallen through the cracks here. That, do we really need to have a cemetery committee? Are we
So,
the
we're
cemetery?
gonna talk about that in 1 second.
Okay, all right, I'll shut up. All right, go for it.
Okay, so I'll respond to Rich with that.
Yeah.
That, you know,
Okay.
at this point, we're not allowing them and we're just, you guys do your thing.
Uh-huh.
Don't reference us, and we'll move on. He did bring up one thing in his email, which he's pretty good at catching this kind of stuff. That in the town bylaws, and I don't know what date this went in, it talks about a separate cemetery committee. So it says committee in charge of cemeteries. The cemetery shall be in charge of a committee of 3 persons to be chosen by the town as follows. At the first annual meeting after the adoption of these bylaws, like I said, I don't know what the date of this was.
Mhm.
1 for 1 year, 1 for 2 years, 1 for 3 years, and at each annual meeting thereafter. This could be from the 1800s, for all I know. He suggested that maybe we try to change it in the spring to get rid of the committee in charge of cemeteries and just put it with you guys. He said, he's like, listen, I always thought it was, the DPW board was the cemetery committee, but this is like a whole separate committee. I'm guessing it predates this board. My guess, this board came in the 70s, I believe, or the 80s. My guess is it predates, this language here predates this board. I can find out if maybe something superseded, you know, but, and town council can help with that, but if it doesn't, it would be good to just clean that up for the future, get that out of the bylaws, you know?
Yeah,
Because this looks to me like it's supposed to be an elected cemetery board. Probably before they did ballot elections, everything was meeting elections, and that's the way this is kind of written.
yeah.
Again,
Okay,
I don't know the date on it. I can try to find out.
okay, so that is
But
both,
that's a spring.
yeah,
something
both,
else.
yeah, we'll just deal with
Do you
it.
guys agree with that, though? We don't need a separate cemetery committee. Why not?
I don't think we need a
Just to
second,
clean it up.
yeah.
So my very first question is, who is the cemetery?
There is none.
All right, then.
I,
That I'm aware of anyway.
I mean, we do all,
It should be you guys.
when I say you
Yeah.
do all the work there, we maintain it, we regulate it, we make the rules
The
and
rules and regs,
regulations.
the fees,
So therefore,
we're probably the cemetery committee,
Right.
right?
but just,
Yeah, if we. have
I
any
agree.
yeah,
issue,
God forbid someone question it.
It goes, yeah.
Let's,
but-
we should formalize it, yeah.
Right.
Well, like,
Yeah.
Or
if somebody wanted to buy a 6th grade lot, it has to get okayed by the commission, which is you guys, the
Right.
letters go to you guys about it. Mrs. Smith wants to buy a 6th grade lot and, you know,
Right.
there's nobody else that goes.
it's 100-year-old word.
Or someone doesn't live in Sterling that wants to buy a lot, all that good stuff.
Right.
You guys.
It's 100-year-old,
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
clean it up.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
I'll work on that for the spring. That has to be a town meeting thing, so.
Yeah,
No,
I'll work on that.
okay.
let's clean it up and get rid of the, little ants that keep nipping at our shoes, so to speak, you know?
Yeah,
It's simple to clean up and then that,
Right.
you guys have been doing it anyway.
right.
You know.
Crickets.
Seems logical to
Back
me.
roads.
Okay, so are we done with green burials? You
For
got
now, yes.
anything? All right. Water connection fees, private development.
Alright, so I spent a little bit of time just trying to gather you folks some data. You remember our conversation last week or last month about Leo's Way. So essentially what I did, Mike and I sat down, we brainstormed for a little bit. And we looked at private water mains. I wasn't looking at extended services, like long 1-inch service. I was looking at like water main. And these are the ones that we came up with. So we have about roughly, and again, I wrote a little thing at the top of this to, just to be clear, like, I don't know if this is all of them. This is kind of what I came up with.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that if someone got this in their hands, they weren't like, well, you own my main. You know, it's not on your list. This is just a general list. As you'll see, when we get our total miles of water main in the system, we get it off of our, our GIS map, okay? Some of these mains aren't even on our GIS map, so you'll see I put a note next to it. So total private, miles of private main listed above is 2.27. We have a total of 70 miles. Some of those miles, the 2.27 are on the map, you know, already, so we have, you know, 71.49 miles that are, you know, it includes the ones that aren't on the map.
Mhm.
So it's about 3.17% of the mains in our system are private. So for whatever that's worth, I just figured I'd throw that out there. Just a reminder, like, we obviously own the water, they own the water main. The only private road that I'm aware of with town-owned water lines is the Washington Village neighborhood. I'm not aware of any other private roads that have like town-owned water lines. I took a peek at the budget, just trying to look at pieces that were dedicated 100% to distribution system, not other things that need to happen to get the water there. So that was hydrants line item and distribution repairs line item. So those two line items are the only ones that I could come up with that were distribution system only related, which is about 9.4% of our operating budget, not even our total budget, just our operating budget. I should have done the total budget. I mean, again, most of the 99.5 or more percent of the effort and the work that we do is just getting the water to, you know, whether it's the other distribution systems they're tapped off of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I was kind of struggling to find different metrics to give you guys. This is kind of what I came up with. I can get different metrics if you'd like, you know, I know that that's, you guys kind of wanted to kind of gauge your decision, I guess, or how you wanted to move forward with this request. Really just a request to look at things. It wasn't necessarily a direct request.
Right. So the only question is that of all the different homes and businesses on all of these lines, we never gave a discount. Has there ever been a discount for water main connections? I
I'm
mean,
not gonna
water,
speak to
water
that
meter.
because I don't know.
You don't
I wasn't
know?
here.
Right.
I can tell you Millie's Way was a little unique. Millie's Way was permitted before I got here. It was a 40B development
Mhm.
and the connection fee was written directly into the decision. It didn't say, like right now, when we write decisions, it says you need to pay the current connection fee.
Mhm.
In Millie's Way, the decision written said $1,000 per household
Mhm.
or per unit. When they went to tie in, we had raised the rates. So we charged them the higher rates and then had to refund it because it wouldn't stand up because it was in the written decision.
Got it.
And 40B is governed by the state, not governed by us. I believe we talked about that.
Yeah, we
might have-
did.
I think we had it on.
So that's the only that was the
That's
only
so that's,
recent
but I also wasn't
example.
here for 90% of these. I don't think you were either.
No, I didn't, yeah. Do you guys remember any? So giving anybody any kind of benefit is probably a really bad thing to do. That's my gut. In other words, we're putting in like the request that we had at the last meeting. That's probably a really bad thing to set up a precedent. It's a really bad thing to do. So my gut is to tell Carl that we're Carini, that we shouldn't do it. That's bad for the town. We have to look out for the town. And I don't know if we wanna make a vote on that, or if we just wanna sit on it and think about it another, I mean, it's up to you guys.
No
What do
rush,
you,
whatever you guys want to do. I can certainly.
he's not here,
If you have
so,
other, yeah, to his credit, I reminded him late that we were gonna talk about it tonight.
oh, all right.
I sent him a message this morning, but I told him he can always watch my team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and he wasn't here requesting for something immediately, you know what I mean? He had
Right.
asked us to just consider it. You know, for private developments, I guess. So I don't think there's any sort of timetable on this.
Okay,
No,
Well-
he would be the first one that we
of our,
We would have
our,
to change our.
would
rules,
have to
right?
change it all, because all these other ones were. at-
oh, we don't know.
Well, these were just at different rates, but they all paid connection. I think they all pay connection fees. Like I said, the only one I've been here for is Mills Way.
What do you think, Andy?
My concern, and has a valid point. Especially being a town resident,
Mhm.
town taxpayer. I would love nothing better than to accommodate him. My concern is, should we do that? I almost feel that it's Pandora's box, that any other development, roadway, maintenance, the list could go on forever. Should we do that? Are there gonna be, and I don't know the dates of all these, so I can't speak intelligently upon that. But should any of these have been put in since we raised the connection fees? Are people gonna start coming out of the woodwork looking for reimbursement? Meaning, well, if person A only had to pay this, but we had to pay this under the same connection fee.
Mhm.
Well, to me, it's almost a Pandora's box.
Yep.
I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I'm a little bit afraid of it,
Me too.
because we're opening up something that we already created policy for, and we already set standards.
Yeah, that's why I used the term, I didn't want to set a precedent. You
And I
said it
agree with
differently.
your wording.
You said it.
I
different-
just said it a little different.
Right, and I appreciate that. I guess my gut is to say it's not good for the town for us to put in a precedent like this, and that's my gut. But if we don't have to vote on it now, let's move on to the next thing. And when he's here, we can
I
talk
would
about
say
it.
that the only thing you'd have to vote on is if we were gonna change something. You know what I mean? Cause like what we have right now is what,
Oh,
it's
right,
spelled out
that's a
pretty
good point.
clear.
That's,
So,
you
so
know?
that being said, not to cut you off,
no, do it.
that being said, I would love to help a fellow town resident out, but I'm afraid of the ramifications.
Yep.
And that will bite us in the butt.
Yep.
Having the chance to think about it for a month and a day or what have you. Hopefully Carl is watching tonight or, you know, catches up, whatever. I'm not saying I'm 100% against it, but I'm not for it. If he has anything else to say, I would be
Okay.
willing to entertain any comments or thought processes that he has. But as of right now, I'm not willing to make a vote. I'm afraid of Pandora's box.
Mhm.
I just wanna say that the fee isn't, like we had said when we put it together, like it's not. A lot of towns call it different things, meter fee, connection fee, it can get really kind of confusing. The idea behind the fee isn't for tangible, physical, put your hands on
Right.
things. The idea behind the fee is buying into a system that's been built by ratepayers for, you know, and the work that it takes to get the water to you and all that stuff. And, you know, obviously the alternative is you put in a well, right? Like that's your alternative. That costs you more money. Maybe it's better for you in the long run. I don't know. You know, just for context, if say they were to put a well to serve all these homes, it would be what's called a small water system. They would have to follow the same DEP rules and regs that we do, the sampling, all that stuff, because it's a water system serving a community. You know, a lot of towns that don't have water systems that have, say, a strip mall with a Dunkin' Donuts in it, that's a water system. They are regulated by the state because it serves X number of people a day. So just throwing that out there. If there was one communal thing, if they did, let's say 630 units or something like that, if they did 30 wells, different story, you
Yeah.
know? But I just wanted to throw that out there, like the amount of work it has taken to build this system over the last 80 years, you know, is what that money is intended to pay for. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's not for the future maintenance of your curb stop or whatever, like,
Mhm.
is that part of it? Sure, but not much of it, I guess is what I'm.
Yeah, I would add that since there's a limit to the amount that Sterling can pump out of the ground for its system. That is buying into that limit. It actually affects future, because I mean, we can't add 10,000 homes to that limit. I mean, that's ridiculous that we would, but I mean, the point is at some point we're gonna run out of water for people, right? I mean, it's just a limit that they have unless they change the limit,
You have to reinvest in the system too.
Right.
right? That's true.
Sure,
And we're going through that right now with the additional water.
everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So this discussion being said, and since there's really nothing to vote on, I would, if I say this properly, I'd like to make a motion to defer this for future discussion, should somebody show up.
Okay,
And I'm more than willing to talk about it
yeah, same here.
and hear their thoughts, questions, comments. But since we really have nothing to vote on,
I'll second that.
table it
Let's
and
table it.
defer it to future
So,
discussion.
all in favor of tabling it?
Aye.
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 Okay. Then the next one's the capital budget, the 27 capital. 2027, FY 20.
So, as is typical with capital budgets, they, jump right up on you. Next thing you know, it's November and we're doing this again. I will, by the next meeting, have your binders together. The ones that we kind of use to organize capital and operating budgets and all that stuff. So this is very preliminary at this point. Still waiting on some numbers, but I wanted to run through requests with you and see what you thought. So I'd like to start with water. Water is much more straightforward. It's the one that's on the page by itself, not the two-sided page. That's the water main replacement.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned, when we were dealing with the budget stuff with water, I built out a 10-year budget. So it covers all, what we're expecting to see in the next 10 years. It puts inflation numbers in there, percentages, it puts different borrowings in there. And what I just recently assigned to it, and I'll include this in the budget packet, excuse me, is prospective rate increases so that we can plan going forward percentages. And I think it's a pretty good plan. It obviously we had a pretty large increase last year. It essentially brings it down to around 5% annually, which is pretty reasonable for a utility. Or, you know what I mean? And it will help us build up our reserves. It'll help us do water main replacement. We're gonna have to do PFAS at some point. There's a lot of work coming up. So it's gonna put us back on a stabilized path, and we can talk more about that when we start talking about rates and stuff like that. But so that's a long way of me saying we were normally gonna request 1.3 million for water main this year. We're not doing that because we can't afford it. We need to wait a little bit. Redstone's done. That's good. The next thing is the campground. We understand that. In the budget, the way it works out, we should be able to afford that payment around FY29. So not this year, not next year, but the year after is what my plan is, or what I'm thinking. Different rate increases can change that, but the payments are around $250,000 a year on a $1.3 million borrowing, which is what we've been doing. So it's a lot of money, you know what I mean, in that budget. When we get out to FY29, we're in a really good shape based on the way it's built up. So I think it puts us in a safe spot. So the three things that we want to focus on for this year are, we got some more meters. We cut a bunch of them that we requested last year. We ended up cutting them. We need to keep some money in there for PFAS and the source. And our altitude valve at the Osgood tank is in desperate need of work. So an altitude valve is a valve about the size of this table, probably. And what it does is we have three tanks. We have the Kendall tank, the Osgood tank, the Tuttle tank. The Tuttle tank is actually higher than the Osgood tank. So think about how like a water system lives. How much higher do you think it is? So where the grade lines are?
No, they're all, the overflows are all roughly the same. It's that 70% of our water comes from West Sterling, so water flows like electricity, right? So path of least resistance, it's flowing past the Osgood tank. It wants to fill the Osgood tank first. So the way the altitude valve works is when the pressure exceeds street pressure in the tank, that valve shuts so that it can fill Tuttle, and then vice versa. When the tank pressure exceeds, or when the street pressure exceeds the tank pressure, it can fill the tank. So it kind of free floats. It's how it's supposed to operate.
Thank you. I was thinking backwards. Not backwards. It also can be used if you have a tank that's higher.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the same thing. That valve is not working. So we see if we have any system change, i.e., and it's really, this isn't the reason for this product, it's just how it came to light, cutting Squareshire off all the way at the other side of town. Water that maybe would vent one way was pushing to Osgood, especially when the wells were running very high demand in August, in the beginning of September. They were running all the time. It was juicing Osgood so quickly. We kind of boggled our minds. We had never even put two dots into that when we had modeled what would happen if we cut Squareshire off when they're doing the bridge. Essentially, we just took a piece of 12-inch main out, 2 gates, it's cut off. But clearly a lot of water flows down and around there, even though it's so far. And we were dealing with, potential overflows for weeks. Not the first time it's happened. It's been kind of sporadic, but it needs to be fixed. The problem is the valves on either side of that altitude valve don't hold. So the valve's in a pit. It has 2 12-inch wheel valves in that pit. They don't hold. So we can't take the valve apart. We've had the company out twice. Yeah. Once recently, once right when I got here, I think, yeah. And we've tried, we found additional valves. We found valves outside, down by Osgood and up closer to the tank. Those didn't hold. They still had about 3 PSI going by and he wouldn't work on that with that much water because it's in a pit, essentially. So,
3 PSI on what size main?
well,
Wow.
The thing is that he's working with trying to reset diaphragms. It's not like you can go a little water by, you know, if he needs basically, from what he said is he needs the water completely off, so.
Wow.
so what we want to do is replace the valves, whether inside or outside. We still haven't quite decided that. And then do what's called the guts of this valve. You don't need to replace the valve. We might look at that. We think the valve is way oversized. It's huge. It has a lot of complex piping that when the company came out, they were like, you don't need like any of this. It's just all extra complicated stuff. So essentially what it would be is a small design and then repairing of that altitude valve. We're looking in like the $40,000 to $50,000 range.
Now,
nothing
how
crazy.
long has it not been working? Do we know,
Probably
is there a difference?
I mean, you don't know, I mean, our system's set up so well hydraulically that, like, again, we didn't, until we did that square shire, on the dead on either side of the bridge, we didn't realize that it was really, you know, we still thought it was kind of working not as well as it should be, but
Right.
then. Again, we
You
were
could
starting to
tell
deal with
with
potential
bypass.
overflows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it has no problem flowing out. It has a bypass for, you know, like fire flow emergencies and stuff like that, but it's not operating the way it should to cut flow off to the fill side of the tank.
Do we know what year that altitude valve was installed?
My guess is when they put Tuttle tank in. So
It's
2000,
it's newer. I mean, I say newer as in it's not from the 60s or 70s. You know what I mean?
That's what I was
If you
asking.
look at it, it's painted. That tells you everything you need to know.
Polito did that.
Oh, really? Didn't Polito do the tank?
They did the whole main down through downtown.
Yeah, because if they did that, it was probably part of the tank project.
that would be my guess, because that used to be the main tank, and then when they put a bigger tank in,
Mm.
but again, they probably saw it for.
So when you say, what? You said what, 40?
Looking, I'm looking right now, 40 to 50,000. We're still hammering
Now,
out the
Does
final
that
numbers.
include the shut-off valves or just the altitude?
Shut off valves and the altitude valves.
Okay.
So we're kind of costing that out because we can obviously do the shut off valves. It's no different than any other excavation.
So I mean, if you get on a 12-inch main, if you get a 3 PSI leak by, I mean,
It's a
if
pile
you're
of
gonna
water.
do it, to me, you're opening the ground, you're disturbing the mains, the system. Do it once and do it right.
Right, we have the option of draining the tank too, you know, especially in the like the September months. It's not a huge tank, it has a drain. I know, but it's not tough. You know what I mean?
It's probably 650 pounds.
Oh, easy, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's an option, if we can't, because I think I would prefer to do that than an insertion valve. Where you cut in like the live valve.
Mhm.
I mean, that, you're looking at probably 20 grand just for that.
Just for the insertion valve,
Right.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, but an insertion valve, you don't have to
The what?
shut everything down.
I know.
Everything stays alive and it's not like everything's
So-
still moving.
Right, no, that's true. We can carry enough money for insertion valves, and then if we find that we don't need to, we can go a different route. We can go a different route.
But shutting stuff down and
Well, it's
opening
pain.
stuff,
I mean, we're talking
it's a
about-
pain and it also makes things dirtier than it already is. You know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah,
you
I
gotta look at the
The
pros
ripple
and
effect.
cons of
Yeah.
shutting something down, opening it up, getting the right.
I mean, we found a valve that, I don't know when the last time it was even got on, but I mean, those valves went in, tank was winning what, the 60s probably, so,
Hmm.
old stuff.
So this is a question for, I mean, you can chime in too, feel free if you have something to say. But let's just say hypothetically, money wasn't an object. What would you like to do? So we're not touching this thing again for another 50 years.
You wanna Go first. You want me to go?
I mean, no, you go ahead, I mean, we've kind of discussed it back and forth a little bit, I mean, there's.
I would hire a company to design a whole new, I'd keep the pit itself fine, totally fine. It's dry, it's concrete, pretty much new. You know what I mean? I'd hire a company to redesign everything in that pit. By everything, there's not much in there. It's valve, and then the L2 valve, the bypass. But, knowing that Ross, the brand, thinks that it's probably a little bit clunky, maybe a little oversized, a lot of times what
Oh, it's a
happens.
Ross brand?
Ross valve,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So Ross, I talked to Andy Ross about it, all of he's my guy, you know what I mean? I love that I could call Ross,
Yep.
talk to Andy Ross, like, that's great. What, I did a very similar project in Holden. You put the 12-inch valve in fire, we do so much for fire protection, right? We do so much sizing for fire protection, but 95% of the time, we're pulling 100 gallons a minute out of the tank. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll put a small, like a 4-inch little altitude valve, you know what I mean? And then a different, and like a check valve, should you need to dump the
Dump
water,
it.
but it would only fill in via the small pipe, or I'm just throwing a number out.
Yep.
That's what I would do if we're gonna go soup to nuts. That's probably in the, I don't know, 200 plus range, and I just don't think that that's something that we should do right now. It works when it's working. The
Do
valve's
you
working.
think it's not
just wanna
something
get
we
that
should
valve.
do, or do you think it's not necessary?
Yeah, I'm trying to get that too.
I think that the system we have works. It may not be the most optimal, but it works when the valve's working. If we could have gotten Ross out to come change the guts in the valve, the whole thing would have been done and we would have been fine.
So why
You know what I
didn't
mean?
we?
Because we can't shut it off.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we're gonna do those, okay, all right.
So basically, you gotta look to the future of, is this valve going to last
Yeah,
not touching it? Like you,
like we don't do anything.
we don't do anything to it, or we spend the money to have it rebuilt or whatever, so that it works
Right.
correctly, and how long is it gonna last by rebuilding instead of replacing?
Yep. If we don't do anything to it, I feel that it creates operational problems. Something like this kind of reared its ugly head where if I told you we were taking Squareshire offline, would you have said we would have had a problem up at the Osgood tank? You know what I mean? Like literally almost as far away from that.
Yeah.
As you, but
Uh,
so
downhill.
it's just an example of the way that things can move around, you know what I mean? The positive thing about these valves is that they're rebuildable. So honestly, the rebuilding of the valve itself is probably one of the cheapest parts of the whole deal. You know, it's really just the fact that I don't feel that our budget can absorb, 12-inch valves and all the parts and fittings and all that stuff to get this. That's why I want to make it a capital thing. Because I don't think that our operating budget can absorb that, nor should it.
So I have one more question. Total replacement, and I know it's just a guess, an educated guess, but 210 to rebuild from ground up. If we spend 40 to 50 valves and rebuild the existing valve, what is the lifespan expectancy between the two?
I would say that they are very similar. Because they're just maybe not optimized.
When I talked to, Andy Ross, what did he say? He said 20 to 20.
I was gonna say 20 years, yeah.
On both roughly?
I was on both.
On
The
rebuild or
casting
rebuild?
is, huh?
I said, on a rebuild or brand new.
Right, because
Alright.
the casting's fine.
So-
They're made in America, like these are
It's
legit.
the guts
It's
and
the- it's the
it's the
rubber.
rods.
Yeah,
and-
and
There's
there's,
the springs in there.
honestly, like, he can probably carry all the internal parts in a 5-gallon bucket. You know, they're big, I'm just saying, they're not like they're heavy, and they're very intricate
Mhm.
and.
So to me, it's a no-brainer.
Right, this is what,
210 for 25 years. Versus call it 50 for 25 years.
there's nothing,
Calculate 8% inflation over 25 years.
you don't get
And you
it.
have to rebuild it again, and it may not be available in 25 years,
Right,
but the math to me is a no-brainer.
But what
Right.
hopefully will be available is a good shutdown via new valves that
Right.
work. And are
Uh-huh.
I forget what brand they are, but
They're no
yeah,
name.
they're like no name.
I've
valves.
never heard of the
Yeah.
brand on them, which is a
Like,
bummer.
they're not like Kennedy or.
Johnny
Crown
Smith
or
knows.
something like that.
Hey.
They're like a no name brand valve.
So now that you said Squareshire is cut, like stopped on either side of the bridge.
Yep.
Now, the flow is the pressure any different?
So the pressure's no different. And before we cut the bridge, or before we authorized that, this is probably 2 years ago now, we had the whole thing modeled in our model. And for fire, because that's what they had requested, and the fire flows were the same on either side. We're very similar anyways, by cutting that off, because there's so much water coming in. When we went back to them and we said, hey, can you look at the tank and see, because we had never even considered it, and sure as it was there, it was rising at a much higher rate than Tuttle, and it was showing that overflow that we were seeing during 24, 48 hours of the wells running. It took
So
time.
basically it was pushing through and just dispersing on the other end.
Spreading it all
Basically,
around.
just Osgood was filling faster than the other
Yeah.
two tanks were before, and again, Tuttle is our biggest tank, so that Tuttle
Tuttle
tank.
controls the
Right,
system.
that's what tells the wells to turn off and what turns the wells to turn on, so if Tuttle's not getting full and Osgood's over, you know what I mean, and obviously we caught it, but, that's basically the issues we're dealing with.
Very
So-
interesting.
And it's
So we
funny to
spent,
think
we
about.
spent the summer opening and closing the valve at the bottom of the driveway for Osgood Tank. So they would close it like midday.
Close it for like 3 or 4 hours,
Open it.
let Tuttle catch up to Osgood, or let Osgood get almost full, then open the valve back up, and then, yeah, I mean, you should see it, they would just come up real close, and then once Tuttle was pretty much close, or whatever came first, whether, Tuttle came close to filling, or Osgood was about to overflow, we would just shut the wells off.
Well, that's not, you're
Again,
right.
it was just because of such a high demand too, with, you know.
It shows you how important like SCADA is. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like when there's one thing that doesn't work right, boy, is it a lot of work.
It makes it think how these guys did it with stopwatches and gauges back in the sixties.
It's unbelievable to think about.
But, you wanna definitely put this in as a capital. item.
No, like I said, we're getting some prices
Right, okay,
on things.
and that's why they're
We'll
yelling
price
out.
it, insertion valves, we'll price it all, and then we'll come up with one number.
Well, thanks for spending this much time
Well, I mean, it's
explaining it,
important.
because I think it is important. I think we
Well,
need
that,
we need to understand.
Right.
our water is important right
Very
now,
important.
so. I'm gonna just keep going. Have we figured out why we have so much dirty water? Can we,
I mean,
can we,
have we
can we
done-
just say, I mean, it's a non-going complaint. So can we like put something to ease of do we know what's going on?
I mean, again, it's iron and manganese in the, I mean, I think we've kind of been over that a lot of times. I mean, I haven't had any real accumulating complaints in the last, since,
You started flushing.
I mean, yeah, even going back to like the, beginning of September.
And maybe
Once
people
the
are
wa-
still
once water-
writing online, I don't know, but no one's, like, once we started flushing, like. Sandy Ridge went away, all that stuff,
I haven't had really any calls.
and
I mean, there's a sporadic one here and there, like one time we went, I mean, basically we just went and saw that our filter was plugged up, they changed their filter, I showed them how to change their filter out, I haven't heard back. We get the sporadic ones here and there, but nothing like,
right, nothing like we were seeing in the summer.
yeah, right.
So I don't know what you're.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, now that we're trying to build a building and all this stuff, everything is coming,
Sure.
out there. I mean, they're all complaining about why we're gonna spend so much money, or we're gonna try to, why don't we fix our water, this, that, and the other thing. It's not like we're not fixing our water.
Absolutely.
All right.
So what I would say is that, these things are happening concurrently, that we're not putting wants ahead of needs or anything like that. You know what I mean? The water thing is unique because we've had a lot of changes in the last like 2-3 years between the corrosion control chemical that we've had to add, full-time chlorination that we do now, all that stuff affects iron and manganese, especially the chlorination. Chlorine takes the iron and manganese out of water that you normally wouldn't see. So that's now required all the time. So
Well, I need to cut you off for a
Please.
second, because I need this to be said out loud. The chlorination that is drawing the iron manganese out of the pipes,
or out of the water.
or out of the water, which is not helping with the brown water situation.
It is, right.
Oh, it's
It-
making it work.
It's making it. Am I correct in saying That is not by our choice, that is by state or DEP law.
Mandate, if
Mandate.
you will.
Mandate.
So law would affect everybody.
Buddy.
Right? It depends on, so ever since we had that E. coli detection in the raw water in 2023, we've had to chlorinate full time. And that's, so even
Mandated.
though we had to turn that well
And-
off. mandated.
That's what I would like
We have had to chlorinate full time. So
mandated, not
that
by
is
our
the
choice.
biggest killer.
Mhm.
And that is what I would point to as the biggest change. Now, you couple that with this summer, which was nuts with water usage. Now there's chlorine because it's being pumped in at a high rate because it's using so much water. It varies based on the gallons you use. That water is now getting pulled way
Right,
further than
further
people who
away.
never
Yep.
saw chlorine.
Mhm.
The dead far reaches of our system. Areas where admittedly, when we had this meeting a few months ago, we haven't flushed in a long time because we just haven't gotten there and we haven't had a problem. It caught up to us. So we started at Tuttle, worked down, we did that entire side of town. And it was dirty, it's supposed to be dirty, it cleaned up pretty quickly, honestly. You guys moved through that quite fast. We were able to flush Redstone for the first time since I've been here. We were always afraid of it, of running water on. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we had a pretty good season of flushing.
Just don't flush Hawkins Lane, that's all.
Huh?
Just don't flush Hawkins Lane.
So that's kind of where I put that, and we are trying to fix it. If we end up doing something with PFAS down on Worcester Road, we're gonna be fixing that too, because we're gonna have to. You know what I mean? It's gonna take all the iron and manganese out of Worcester Road. Redemption Rock Trail, a little bit of a story, not really room down there. What do we do in the future? That's where most of that manganese, which one is which?
I think that site's iron and this
Iron
site's
and this one's
manganese.
manganese. So one makes it brown, one can make it black, so it's it's a
Well,
little, but
the
that's
thing
kind of
is,
where we're
is,
going with it.
my water was dirty as everybody else that's complaining.
I understand.
Okay,
that.
now, the last 2 months, I haven't had nothing in my water, and I
I'm happy to hear that.
use white cups and thing, I mean, I could take my hose and put it on my hot water tank and it was black coming out the. Now it's nothing, I have nothing. So
That's
whatever we're
huge
doing,
usage. Yeah,
whatever we're
Yeah.
doing
it's working.
is,
Okay,
you just
Good.
gotta explain this to the people that we're not sitting back, going, yeah, you can burn water. We working our butt off.
the amount of time that we contribute to it, both in the office and out in the field, would be staggering. You know what I mean? If you think of all the other stuff that we do, it's a lot. And I appreciate you, approaching it this way.
But everything that we want to get, everything that we're going to find or going to need coming up in the future, everybody is just blowing this dirty water in our face. And it's like, it's not like we just brought up, it's a
Right.
mandate of the
It's definitely a
state,
major
of
issue.
what we do and treat and everything. It's not us,
Right. Right.
you know?
But it ends up falling on us.
Correct.
To fix it. You know what I mean? So here
And
we are.
That's right.
We are doing the best we can to mitigate the
And
situation.
here would be my
Or
response.
rectify however you want to.
If we didn't have this 4-letter word of PFAS, I think we would be spending more time trying to get treatment for iron and manganese. But unfortunately, this says reared its ugly head and we need to focus on this. Now, with this would come that treatment wise, with a big price tag, but that's gonna be what it's gonna be. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate it.
It just, that knife in the back of everything that we do now.
Yep.
Oh, we're not gonna vote for that because they can't even fix our water. That's not true.
It's a lot of work that goes into it.
They just don't know what we deal with.
How many people you see sitting here?
Complain, if you're gonna complain, come complain to our face,
I say that
Right.
to people a lot.
I really
and
wish-
we have a ghost town here.
Yeah,
Tons, way more.
I'm just saying.
Way more.
Exponentially more.
Yeah.
so do a summary. All right, some of it is a chemical reaction.
Yep.
Some of it is delayed flushing that
Yep.
we're caught up on.
So it's
Keep
flowing.
in
And-
mind, we can only flush when we have water to be able to do it.
Correct,
Point.
correct,
Flush all day
And-
long if I could.
right, and
If you
then,
could, is the correct
Exactly.
term.
and if we got rid of the extra labor, just for the extra labor that you described, just for monitoring the valves. I mean, cause what you.
Yeah,
Right.
valve. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that, that's time.
Yes.
That's taking people off of being able to do anything else. What are they doing? They're spending 3 hours playing with valves in the tanks. You know, and who's doing it?
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's actually, in how many days does that take? Does that happen every day?
It was.
It was, yeah.
And what's,
All right,
what's our
so-
miles of pipe, you said?
70.
70, and we have 3 guys trying to figure it out.
Well,
And a brain, and a brain behind the computer. I mean.
I think it,
You
I
do,
think it's
you do what
impressive.
you can do.
I think
I
it's
think-
impressive, and I think it would be reasonable if you wanted to do a capital. Would you want to do this as an emergency thing?
No,
Okay,
no, I think we're fine. So.
well, I mean, so we could do it over the winter.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right, because Square
Okay.
Tire is gonna be back together, you know what I mean, like, I'd rather not tap into the reserve fund 2 years in a row.
Okay,
We did it last year, let's not do it this year, so that we
Okay.
can build it back up.
well, I just thought I'd ask, you know,
I think we'll be in good shape, we're in good shape now, because the
Okay.
wells aren't running 24/7.
right,
When they're running 24/7, it's crazy.
yeah, next summer they will be, though, probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So just in general, we have, so I'm gonna kind of get technical here for a minute.
Leaves me out.
Our retained earnings or our free cash, or essentially the money you can use for capital went away. We with all the budget issues.
right,
We were able to get that back through the PFAS lawsuit funds that we were able to get. So some of it we're using to balance our budget at the town meeting. But we have $263,709 remaining. That's essentially our free cash. That's what we have available for capital items and things like that.
Right.
Now, a good chunk of that's going to PFAS. A lot's gone to PFAS in the past, is kind of the way I'm looking at that. I'm trying to keep water capital around 200,000. Normally, we shoot for 300, but I want to keep it low. I want to keep a buffer. Everything we do, we want to keep a buffer with right
Okay.
now, because I want to be safe. So the 3 yellow boxes you see
right,
are gonna total up somewhere around $200,000.
okay,
Which is lower than we've done in the past, and that's fine. But I just wanted to put that there. That's kind of what we're shooting for when we pick like how much we put towards meters or what.
so we're gonna address this again when we start to talk about rates.
Yep,
and stuff.
absolutely.
Good,
Yep,
okay,
absolutely.
Leave the
Alright, so-
rates are, oh, phew.
yeah, we're gonna have to do it.
Boy,
So I'll make a comment on that, and I was gonna do it in my superintendent's
I'm
update.
melting my ice
Okay.
cubes.
We obviously, people saw online, we had a lot of calls, a lot of questions about water bills
Uh-huh.
and water rates. And what I can say confidently, I don't know if I would say 100, but 99% of them were correct bills. And I have never been so thankful for a meter replacement program in my entire life. Jenna Sue in the office went crazy with this stuff for 3 weeks, right? And we were able to pull daily or hourly usage and send it to these people. And these people, they would, oh, we've been following the water bin religiously. And it's like, oh, well, you use 4,000 gallons a day. So how does that fit every other, you know what I mean? And we're not saying it like that. I'm just saying that
Man,
people are now questioning, that they think that there's some sort of mistake. We have that hourly, that daily usage. Most people have no clue how much water they use when they irrigate.
Yeah,
And we weren't billing them for it at the proper rate for the longest time because our meters weren't picking it up. So it's gonna make a difference. I mean, it was pretty staggering, and it was rare for the people in the office to be like, we have the answers. Every time someone calls, we have the answer. It's right here. So that was nice, because I would go home, my wife would be like, oh, everyone's all up in arms about their water bills. I'm like, yeah, but they're all correct water bills. They should have used less water. Use less water. I mean, that's what I would say to people who don't want a higher water bill.
That's my wife too during the day.
So I just want to put that out there. Are you good on water? Want to move on to
Mhm.
DPW? All right.
All right.
So DPW, let's start at the top. This one is frustrating for me. So, I'm gonna get more info for you guys on this one, on the 162, 140 thing. We thought we had everything. I was told, we had everything we needed to finish this project.
Right.
And then something got missed somewhere. I think it was on the consultant's end where budgeting wasn't quite lined up. So I've asked them every year, what are we looking at? What do we need to finish this project? What do we need to finish this project? And unfortunately, we find ourselves about 120,000 short to finish everything. Now, a little bit of that is changes the state's made in some of the extra steps they've required. That's certainly part of it. A little bit of it is the fact that we need to do a lot of work with DCR to use the detention pond. We're gonna have full use of that detention pond area to do whatever we need to do for our stuff, the part that's on our property and their property. We're gonna be able to use that whole thing. But also a piece on the inside where we need to take a little bit of DCR property on that. A little bit of it's that. A little bit of it is the water main. They're gonna do the water main as part of it too. That's not a big piece of it. So essentially, this is what it's gonna take to finish the project and bid the project. Now, again, we're still gonna be way ahead. It's probably a $3.5–4 million project. Maybe 2.5 to 3. And we're gonna have put in about 900,000 to $1 million worth of work. Tips are interesting. I think I would, like the Holden's project, so that's a tip, same process. That was started before I even got to Holden. And that 9 years later, they're
End of the line.
just, did they? Okay, good. Just finishing it, now. Not uncommon it takes this long. I don't have a good metric on how much towns are spending on these things on the town side. I know the finance committee is gonna be annoyed by that, surprised by that. I'll have a good response for them by that time when we get there, but that's what it's gonna take to finish this project, unfortunately. So I want to put it in there because I want to get this thing done.
This is the benefit of finishing up all your engineering before you start your construction.
True.
And part of the engineering has to do with permitting and review of permissions on land and stuff in this case. And those can only be guesstimates until after you do it.
Yep.
And it's a shame that this time it went over the guesstimate, but that's luck of the draw sometimes.
Right. So that's that.
Okay.
The cemetery wall. So I expect our consultant to be here in December with us to talk to you guys about that. Talked to them the other day, had a brief conference call. They showed me a couple options of things they could like price and different things they could look at. And they just wanted to kind of like pick my brain a little bit on what I thought you guys would want to see. So pretty confident you guys don't want like a bid block wall. That wouldn't really look too good for the Oak Hill Cemetery on 62. So we took that out. Essentially what we're looking at are a couple different style like DOT walls. So one of them looks just kind of like what's there, that like rock. There's one in Holden. I just only say that because that's what I can picture coming up towards the center of town. There's one on the right, one across from Papagino's too. Yep. And then the other one, I think
The other day.
it's kind of unique, is it's like a stamped concrete. So the forms have the rocks in them. And if you got the right contractor who can line up the different forms, they peel it back and it looks like rocks. You know what I mean? But it's pure concrete. So
The walls that they're putting up down by the Mass Pike,
the
495 right now, are unbelievable.
I haven't seen them.
And-
I've been down there.
And they're all rock and they're all stone and
Really?
they are just absolutely like, whoa, that's neat.
Really?
And they
I've looked at
really,
it.
really, really look very good.
Okay. So that's probably that DOT wall
Mhm.
spec. So they're gonna be coming to us with both of those options. And then we can discuss and decide how we wanna work that into our capital plan. At the next meeting. I want them to talk to you guys first
Mhm.
before we.
No. The post office side of the driveway.
Yeah.
How can we take some of that pressure off the top of the wall with, you know, the big tree that we cut down, all the pines that we cut down?
Yeah.
But there's that other tree at the top. Like when you crest the top of that hill, there's a tree, there's another tree there. Now, what would that do if we took the wall down and rebuilt that, or whatever we do to that wall, what's gonna happen to that earth? And
What we would do is we'd sheet pile behind it, so they would drive sheets behind the wall into the ground. That would be your temporary wall. That would hold it up. One of the things we're kicking around is actually building a taller wall so that the slope isn't so drastic.
Yeah,
The real issue with the walls is the drainage behind them.
Yeah,
That's what's pushing those walls down. There's drains in them.
Mhm.
We had to look for them. They're there. What's behind it, I have no idea.
well, I was just thinking of that tree's getting a lot bigger and the roots
You know what you're talking
Yeah, right at the top.
right at the
about?
top.
Not the
I mean,
You had all the junipers down below, it's
Yeah.
just above that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying the tree's getting bigger. I mean, are the roots giving us a fight on the top side of that wall?
Well, cut
I
some
know.
hills in the rip line.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I don't, I think it's mostly the drainage behind it.
I
that's
would
causing
bet
the issues and, I mean,
water
I
pressure.
don't know.
it's really strong. The
Huh?
water pressure is very strong. It could be roots, but
Could be.
I,
The juniper definitely didn't
Yeah.
hurt timber to that, you know what I mean? That made sense.
yeah,
We found old clay pipe, that was in there, and who knows what's behind there,
Right, right.
I mean,
mossness.
it's just a lot of research has to go into,
It's a tough project.
it's not just build a wall,
No.
it's shoring
Sure.
behind
So-
it to get it to
So
stay.
you gotta shore it. And in order to do that, you gotta crane the shoring in. Well, the power lines are on that side. So they're already talking about moving that. Part of me wants to shut the road down and just detour, set the crane up on the other side of the street and just let them reach over so they can get over the power lines. That might be easier.
Wow,
But, it's gonna be,
Wow.
it's not a simple job. It's not your backyard patio wall. It not only does it need to be structural, it needs to look its part to a practical extent and a financial extent, being that it's an old cemetery.
Yeah, It
You
needs
know what I
to,
mean?
it needs to look and stay there.
Yeah, and period correct.
To, right.
It can't just be a gross concrete,
Mhm.
plain faced wall, I don't think,
Mm-mm.
so.
I don't think it would be
Power
acceptable.
lines don't help, they're
No.
right in the way.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have a muni lake, so if we had National Grid, we'd be pushing this thing out 3, 4, 5 years, trying to get a hold of that. But, we can.
Cut that tree out, get the wall that way.
Okay, so we're doing that in December. you
Well,
said.
my hope
Possible.
is to have them here in December. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
well, we're gonna need that for the budget.
yeah, I know. So technically it's due before December, but I'll tell Bill we're waiting on this one. So,
You're gonna throw in a number if you want.
Yeah. All right, the truck. We talked a lot about the truck.
Wow,
What do you want to do about the truck?
well, leave it in.
I don't know how we finished our conversation. I don't really remember. It was, we kind of like left it up in the air and we said we'd talk about it some more.
Well, it's part of our
Is it in
multi-year,
in the minutes what we discussed? Did we?
well, we didn't say to get rid of
Say-
it. No.
Well, what I remember the way I remember my last things that I said was that, I think it was the fact that because there's 2 of them back to back,
Yeah.
I was thinking replace at least one, and then we can look at doing some rehab on one if we want to. But I think that if we push them out, we're gonna just end up doing it together with other trucks that are coming down that line, right? If we push it 5 years, we have 15, we have other ones that are,
Right.
that are
We
in
try
there.
to, we try to replace 2 or 3 trucks in 1 year, it's gonna bite us.
It's
in
gonna,
the ass.
yeah, so we have if you look at this capital plan, we're kind of nicely spread out right now with vehicles anyways.
Yep.
You know, and we are at the point where all of our small stuff is good. You know, but I'm proud to say that for the first time, really, and we've been focusing a lot on that small stuff. And now it's reliable, they're good trucks, and we're happy with that, we'll keep on that rotation now, we're kind of caught up when it comes to the small stuff. So I have that in there. DPW facility, that's obviously up in the air at this point, we'll see what happens with that, what we wanna do.
What, what is the 2 point? Let us know, what is the I mean, you go to the meeting, we don't.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, so-
what are the 2.2? Why is that so big?
So the 2.2
It's not-
covers 100%.
Terrible.
No, it's just a
He said
lot
it's
of,
not enough.
Oh, design, bidding, permitting, and contingency for that phase, and other
Ah,
project manager services.
Interesting.
So it's about 1.8, 1.6 in design. Now, there's almost 200 pages of drawings, and I think they said 12 to 1,500 pages of specifications. I can't just go call up Package Steel in Sutton and say, hey, bring me a building, we wanna build it. We
Or
need to
Morton.
detail, or Morton, they wouldn't even sell
You
municipality.
can't, this is municipal.
They need to
Yeah.
It's different than
detail
private
every
sector.
single nut and bolt on every single system in this project.
now
Plumbing,
we-
HVAC, fire, industrial equipment, you name it.
and it's important. State law requires it because it's municipal money,
Right.
okay?
You know, it's
All
also
the paperwork,
Rated work.
so the
It is for
2.2 million is because state law requires it.
Right.
That's the real answer.
So it includes all the permitting, which is Concom, anything we have to do with the landfill, DEP wise, with that property, anything we have to do because that property is technically a mine, not an MSHA mine, but like we report it to USGS. It also includes a little bit of contingency to cover any unknowns in that phase so that we can keep the schedule that we're trying to keep, which will in turn keep the cost down. So I've said this a bunch the last few days. It was never our plan, the facility committee's plan, to come to this town meeting. This came up when the MBTA zoning thing came up. We were always gonna go in the spring for some design work. And when MBTA zoning came up, we saw it, so Jonathan, who you guys chose, he's a cost estimator by trade on these projects, he said, the construction market right now is ridiculously hot. Cold, I guess.
Soft.
They're hungry. Contractors are wicked hungry, and things are increasing anywhere from 3 to 4%, or 4 to 5%, sorry, every year. So if we can get design money now, we can do the whole design in the next year and go back to the people a year from now with an actual bid from a contractor that says it's going to cost X dollars to the penny. Provide that and say, here's what the building costs. Instead of going with a range that says could be anywhere from 25 to 27 or whatever. It's like, nope. What they're seeing today is 10 to 15% below estimates. So consultants are doing independent cost estimates. They're putting it out to bid and it's coming in 10 to 15% lower. We're trying to take advantage of that. If that stuff doesn't change quickly, it changes, but not, something like COVID would change it like that. That's why we're pushing so hard right now. Any money that isn't spent in the 2.2 is just gonna offset that next request, right? So if the bid comes in at 26 and we have 500 left, we'll ask for 25.5. You know what I mean? Like it's not money out the window. I think a lot of people are nervous. And this has come up a couple of times that and this is how towns operate, unfortunately, when you go into something with a number, someone sees that as like, oh, that's what I'm gonna charge, And, so they automatically think that all the consultants are gonna chew up the 2.2. What I've been telling people is, we need to put out cost estimates for everything. When I bid a water main job, I have to put an estimated cost in there. When I bid a paving job, has to have an estimated cost. So our last water mains estimated cost was 2.1 million, based on industry standard unit prices and stuff. It came in at 1.5. You know what I mean? So contractors aren't looking at it and talking to each other and saying, oh, they have 2.1 because that's what they're advertising at. So we're gonna bid 2.08. That's not happening. They're hungry. They want the work. They want these projects to be successful. The consultants want them to be successful because it makes them look good if they're successful. It doesn't make them look good if they overcharge. And so that's what the money is for. It also includes the owner's project manager, which is another state requirement.
Right.
But honestly, a godsend, because they're very helpful. Those are the two guys that we work with that live in Sterling. They work for a much bigger company. They just happen to live here. It works out nice. And this is what they do. They help towns through these projects.
Right.
So that's what the 2.2 covers. We're gonna be much more clear on that tomorrow than we have been.
Well, that's the
At
thing. I
previous
mean, you
meetings.
guys go to the meetings.
I know.
We don't.
Right.
We need to
Well, you're
catch up
welcome.
and get
Yeah,
our
I'm
speed,
sorry about
you
that.
know? We don't have the time, Blaine,
That's okay. I
that you
understand.
have
That's fine.
that to catch up with all
But
this,
it's, but it is also recorded, so.
yeah.
We, so every
Every time I
we
get
do
home, I wanna sleep.
an
I don't
info
blame-
session or talk, we make tweaks. So this has been a unique experience for me. Every time we've gone out, it's been a different topic has been the bone of contention, right? Like, so it started out with total project. Okay, that's high. And then, we did one at the senior center. I don't even remember what the one was there, but then I did one on Monday. And all of a sudden, like the 2.2 had never come across my desk or anyone on the committee's desk as being like a problem until Monday. And we talked about it for an hour, at the info session. And then they talked about, well, why can't you knock down the salt shed and just build a building in the middle of the sand over there? To store some vehicles. It's like, well, that doesn't solve the fact that Mike's working in a bathroom and Paul's working in a dusty, under a
Closet.
Right,
That
exactly.
flood
like-
there when the sand truck comes.
Correct. That doesn't solve the fact that the blocks falling apart, and we have 25 different heating systems throughout the garage. It doesn't solve that stuff. So we have done a lot of work. And apparently we weren't pushy enough with it. Like, look at everything we've done.
Well, they had their choice to do a visit. Everybody that complains,
I know.
you had your choice to do a walk around.
So we're now responding to things that we have discussed extensively and already had reasons why we're not pursuing them. They come back up 8 months later, 9 months later, well, you should be doing this. Like, well, here's the reasons we're not doing that. We didn't explore it far enough. It's like, okay.
So no,
Like, there's only so far we can go.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the challenges that it's been. I give a ton of credit to our consultants, a ton of credit to the committee. We've done a lot of work on this, a ton of credit to these guys, and I want it for them. And I want it for the people of Sterling. Like, one of the things I've been trying to say is, like, this isn't my fleet. This is your fleet. This is your vehicles. You own these. We're just trying to protect them. We're trying to protect our employees, the town of Sterling's employees, and give them a place that they want to come to work in every day, or, want to work on vehicles in, or want to store tools in, or, go to the bathroom in. Honestly, like, that's what we're trying to do. This isn't for individuals. This isn't for anything like that. That's the mission here. So it gets lost sometimes, unfortunately, in the money and all that other stuff. There's just also tons of misinformation.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Tons of misinformation.
Facebook is the biggest problem in this
It's
world.
a massive problem.
Yep.
A
Yep.
massive problem.
There's a lot of misinformation.
Not uneducated,
Misinformed.
misinformed people. Or
Some of them want to be
misinformed
misinformed.
Yeah, that's what
I think
they're
More
all,
fun.
that's all,
Yeah, I
it
think.
just keeps them going.
Well, I think one of the things that I've been frustrated with is that there's literally no one involved. on the facility committee, in the DPW, any of the design people, any of the engineers, or the owner's project, none of us want to spend any more than we have to.
Right.
And some of this stuff is so regulated, all because in the past, communities have gotten taken advantage of. So a lot of, that's where the owner's project managers come from,
Right.
because they think, and they're probably right, that most communities don't have the wherewithal to interact with all of these professionals. And they get taken advantage of by builders. It's all to defend and protect public money, which is again why municipalities are not run like businesses. Because a business, you could, you know,
Would have the building built plan.
yeah, I don't need that money. I don't need 200 pages of drawings, just
Right,
call
focus on what
Morton, right,
works.
there you go.
Yeah.
And we'll just put in a, you know, a nice locker room,
Right.
you know, and leave us alone. And but you can't do that. You have to meet all of the ADA requirements, all of, you know, it's also a risk for building.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So which means it's critical to the town. And now that you talk about that it has to be built to certain standards, look at this building, and we are so far away from those standards that it's scary,
And we have an earthquake every Tuesday at 10 a.m.
right? And it's scary.
Yeah, at least they're out on the road now. They're flat.
Yeah.
And you know something? This is a public room. This room ain't ADA compliant,
Oh, well,
not even remotely
When the lift
close.
kind of works,
when the lift work,
when it wants to work.
Bring your lift out, we'll climb out the window.
All right.
the thing is to explain all of this. It seems like there are a lot of people who really do want to understand.
Right. There's some-
And I've gotten some quality feedback, and I've spent hours. I have no idea how much time trying to explain
Get
the misinformation.
nice signs, Blaine.
Yeah, that's what, thanks.
Why'd you put them on my road? No, I got it, you know.
Why do you
an
want,
What
arrow.
about your house?
right, I should ask you.
No.
I'm gonna go let
They're
them
gonna be,
fly.
they're gonna be wrecking my lawn.
All right, so the last one I put in there, and I had had this in there for a few years, I think it's good to add maybe one more chip to our, you know, our inventory stuff every year. So like we've done our roadway stuff, we did our tree assessment last year. I've wanted to do something with our signs. We have signs everywhere. And half of them need to be replaced. Where do they need to be? You know, we don't have like a system that we're replacing faded stop signs and things like that. I'd like to get that stuff done before somebody, you know, calls us. I want to know what's a compliant sign, what's not a compliant sign, what has one of those pieces of paper that says the state says it's okay to be here, what doesn't mean we're taking them all down. I'm just saying, like, it sure would be nice to know where these things are. So
Can't have signs, so.
what I'm looking to do here is, this is a GIS survey, so everything will be GPS. It would be categorized dimensions, reflectivity, how much it reflects, the MUTCD like sign number, so what we use to order them, and like placement, all that kind of stuff. So this is to do the whole town. It's a pretty conservative number, but I think it's good to add one of those things, kind of, you know, to our database, right? And kind of get into that digital age. So there's a lot of old stuff out there. I get calls all the time that says, hey, it's 35 miles an hour this way, and it's 45 miles an hour that way. The signs are within 10 feet of each other on opposite sides of the road, and my Google says it's 30, and you know what I mean? So it'd be nice to like kind of clean some of that stuff up.
Well,
So that was my intention.
I got this Sterling resident, as a matter of fact, who called me and wanted me to get going on a sign inventory.
Oh, really?
Because signs have a limited life and they
True.
lose reflectivity, and we should be replacing the signs on a regular basis. And so,
Hard to do when you're don't know you know what I mean?
Right,
Just like drive
so-
around and, I mean, we replace signs and they look bad, they would get replaced. Well, they get defaced, unfortunately. they get
Yeah, or
stolen.
defaced is more
Or
like
stolen.
it, yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
On fire. There you go, we have our first.
Yep, yep.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I'm looking at. for
Okay.
Pretty simple year, trying to keep it simple. We have a lot of projects been swamped. I'm just trying to get some stuff done. And then
Yeah, we ever. try to
Yep.
swamp ourselves again.
Okay, so is that, no, we're not done.
Not done? Oh,
We're on the back.
we can be, if you'd rather. Oh, no, the back's future years.
Future years? Okay.
It's the vehicle replacement plan.
Well, I just like to point out to everybody, and when you turn it over, the 2031 number for the six-wheel dump.
Yeah,
2031,
same truck,
right
yeah,
there.
retire.
10% a year.
Yep, and same truck, it's $500,000. I just wanted to bring that up. Not that I like it, but I mean, this is why we want to build right away.
10% per year, figure it out.
Right?
Gonna happen sooner or later.
Yep.
And how long did it take to cut that?
Right, 2 years. It'll take 5.
Oh, yeesh.
Okay, project, is that, do you have
That's
any? All right, project update?
All right, covered the DPW facility, we covered 62-140. Campground, I'd love to say we're getting close on, this is just the road that never ends, the culvert thing. So we're, I don't know, DEP hasn't moved, I don't know. So we met out with them, we're probably gonna have to plant some plants. Just tell me what plants to plant, I'll plant. You know what I mean? It's
Some wildfire in there.
you know what I mean? So we might have to move a little riprap and whatever. I keep telling them, I'll do whatever you need to do. Let's finish. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. We have good consultants working with us, so I appreciate that.
12 wildlife area, do not mow.
Is that, did you say that?
Yeah.
112? The natural.
Did.
natural life?
Yeah,
They took the sign down and started mowing it?
Yeah,
No, thank
No,
you.
Oh, it's
Signs
big all around
still
it and
there.
trim around?
yeah, they just,
they put the wrong
They suck
seed,
it all
I
up.
do that.
they put the wrong seed mix. This
I
is
didn't
before
know
your
that.
time. This is before your,
it looks good mode.
Not
there.
mow.
National little sign, right?
Well, the very first year that was there, I saw the mower there and I took a picture as I went by and I sent it to the boss.
Yeah.
And you could see the mower underneath the sign. I thought that was funny as heck.
Naturalized area, don't know.
but no, they put the wrong seed in
Yeah.
supposedly, yeah.
Yeah, but it looks good.
But again, Ryan, this is not
That's
us.
fine.
This is there.
We can laugh about other departments.
Right.
It's okay. Roadwork, so the last thing we gotta do, we got top redstone, so, haven't done it yet. Still waiting on it, it's been a month and a half at this point. Everything else been line painted, finally got the line painters in, so, once redstone's top, we got a couple days out there probably. Backing up some stuff, it's a good amount to back up, the road came up quite a bit, we're ready to go.
3 tops.
Make them do it. And they're so late.
I could.
Absolutely.
But that's what we're waiting on there. I was
Mr.
happy to get the
Steve out
lines
there was
painted.
great on.
Driving around, our roads are performing pretty well. We had a little issue on Greenland. One of the areas is having a hard time making it to the basin. They came in, they did some infrared, lowered it down and made it work. It's better, but it's not great. So I may have them cut the basin. The basin needs to go down. Like it went in too high. I feel different about it if it was a reclaim, but it was a mill. You know what I mean? It feels
What
different.
end?
It was right near the fair entrance. You can see the dip.
On the dip.
If you
where the
look
dip
to the
is.
right, going over the bridge on the highway, you can see the color change in the pavement
Yeah.
from when they did the infrared. It's like a gray, yeah. So they tried, I give them credit. I
Puddle
think
stays off, it's just.
it's off the line now, yeah.
It's just.
It
full.
drains,
I know.
it's just there. I'm worried about the winter, really,
Ice.
that's what I'm worried about. It's out of the lane now. It was almost at the yellow line, which blew my mind because we have a pretty good crowd on that road, but it's very deceiving looking at it. But when you stand there, put a level on it, you can see it. It was tight. Finally got our wetlands permit for Sweat Hill. It's within its appeal period right now, so we're just waiting to see if it appeals anything on what the Concom. One sad note, Barbara Reverdy passed away. I don't know if you guys knew that. So Barbara was a big proponent for the Sweat Hill project. I didn't know she was sick.
I didn't,
And,
well, I knew
yeah,
she was sick,
got sick,
but
went on hospice and passed away last week, so she's been on the Concom for
Ages.
ever,
And
yeah,
the lake was a different shape.
really. So,
oh my God,
thank you to Barbara for her work and her time.
wow.
Moving on to water, Crowley Road is very busy on the paperwork side and the land swap side, and just working with the state to see what they would consider for a property. Now, I will give the state credit. There's a woman over there, Felicia. So you guys remember Jim French?
Yeah.
So Jim French was there. So Felicia took over for Jim French. And she's been, and as has Jim French, very, very helpful to us. You know, Jim, we've had a lot of side conversations with Jim. He's been very helpful to like, here's some parcels that might work, you know, so I give him a lot of credit for that. And Felicia's been very willing to help and work with us. This whole process is not a process that they have gone through time recently. So it's new for us and it's new for them, and that makes it difficult because every time we ask a question, they have to go back and ask someone else a question, and then that person has to ask someone else a question, and then 3 weeks later, we get an answer back and it's not the one we're looking for. And, you know, so that's kind of where that is right now. PFAS, so unfortunately, the results were a little bit higher in September. We don't have October results yet. The quarterly average, though, was exactly the same as it was the first time. So it's not like the quarterly average is going up. I will say right now, without seeing the results, that my guess is October's results are going to be higher because we have one well offline due to a electrical issue that should be fixed this week, Friday.
Okay.
So that well that's offline is our lowest PFAS well, unfortunately. So if it ticks up a little bit, that could be why. It could tick down because in the winter, it tends to tick down for us. So we'll see. Again, still waiting on, see if the MBTA passes, see if we get our grant funding. Do some of that work. West Sterling, and like I told you this yet, but our project manager left time bond. So we gotta light a fire under their ass, but sorry. Cause I wanna get them out there and I wanna get that job done. All the parts are there, we just gotta get it done. Chris is getting under our plate.
Oh,
That's that.
okay. Superintendent's update?
We have 2 more weeks of the brush dump being open, Saturdays 8 to noon. So keep that in mind. Been steady. Yeah. Weather's been decent on Saturdays. So yes, that's Saturdays 8 to noon. I had alluded to PFAS settlement money, so we received a third check that we weren't expecting. $64,547.18. So that got deposited right into that amount. And that was what I was referring to before. There'll be more coming. We've applied for a grant. We've actually applied for a couple grants recently. We applied for a grant that would create a water use restriction bylaw, which we don't currently have. We would also perform a billing audit of our system that would look for metering errors, billing errors, things like that. The drought restriction bylaw would essentially give us like tangible levels of water use restriction that we could sit in a meeting on and say, okay, it's been dry for this long, or, you know, our wells are at this level. We feel like we need to go to a level 2, which is, you know, and you guys, we can pick and choose that. And it's a bylaw at that point. It's not a suggestion. It's not a DEP mandate. It's not whatever. And then you can assign fines to those as well, if that's what we want to do. So that's just a grant we're applying for. I think we have a pretty good shot at it. The nice part about this grant is it's 0 match. So a lot of grants require us to put in some money. This one requires us to put in no money, which is nice. We also applied for a grant for a water audit, which we've done every single year. They look at our billing, our metering, our pumping, our system, all that. Also 0 match. We've gotten that every year, so we'll get that again, I'm assuming. And we did apply for the snow and ice grant for the brine trailer and a number of flexible plow blade parts. I think it was close to $19,000 that we're gonna hopefully get with that.
Now, will any of these grants be affected if the MBTA?
The first 2 will be.
Just the first,
I'm not aware of any MBTA requirements for the snow and ice one. I
Okay.
didn't see it.
good. Good, well, you
It
never
could
know.
Be hidden somewhere. Most times I ask people who are helping us with grants, I asked about the MBTA, they say yes. We have just about our entire fleet ready to salt, should we need to. There's a couple small trucks that we haven't switched over. We're still using them. I didn't know it was gonna do Tuesday, so I came in Monday morning and said, we gotta switch everything over. So I mean, you know, we could do a bridge salting, and for this time of year, we'd be just fine. We're prepared. We're prepared. A reminder, the special town meeting originally scheduled for last Monday, 11/3, was rescheduled to tomorrow, 11/13 at 6:30. We'll be assisting with setting up chairs, creating new handicap parking spaces, moving signboards around, setting up lighting trailers, all that good stuff. So this is quite the production happening tomorrow.
It's a production, all right.
That's a production.
really
It's
is.
a movie.
It's like a movie. So that's happening tomorrow, and then breakdown Friday. And Christmas trash, want to touch base on that. I'm looking at the 29th and 30th, which is a Monday, Tuesday. Christmas is on a Thursday. Looking at the Monday, Tuesday to have the dumpster here. You guys cool with that?
Yep.
Okay. It's been a successful program. It's worked out well. Been very consistent.
Yep.
We've almost used the same amount of trash, filled the same amount of the dumpsters both years. So I don't feel that people are abusing it. You know, it's not like we're getting couches and furniture.
No, that's on the road.
Yes, correct.
We can sit down, we can sit at a table, we can do anything down the road.
You get some tires for your vehicle.
Yep.
So that's all I have.
Okay. Well, then there's future agenda items.
Like I said, I'd like to do cemetery wall.
Right, we have that.
We'll do more expense budget stuff. We'll start talking more about the expense budget.
Do you guys have any?
No.
I've been thinking a little bit about thanking some people in the state for their help over the last couple of years, 62 and 140. Total, what do you think, $2.4 million worth of road stuff that they paid for that we didn't have to? And I think it's important for us to acknowledge when we get that kind of help, that, and, you
Well, it's
know,
about time. I mean, we
well, you can say it's about time, but you
put a
know,
lot of coal patch on those two roads. anyway.
yeah, there was. There was.
So what are you thinking, Blaine?
I don't know. I
Oh.
just, I'm brainstorming out
Like
loud
a
with
letter
every,
or something, or
well, I don't know. Is it, and it could be
We
for
Appreciate the
future.
help.
Well, we
come
do.
back again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks
We,
again. Come again soon.
we have more of 62.
62 from the.
We would like
center of
you-
town.
Can you finish 62?
If you
and
think we haven't
140?
already had that conversation, you're great.
And the cemetery.
Ah,
And the wall.
you know what? If they do all of the rest of 140
Then
and
we'll listen to
62, I'm fine with the cemetery. All right.
I've seen 140 done like 5 times already.
Yeah, well, that part, I don't know, it was nice that they did it.
Yeah,
And 62 wasn't just a reclaim, I mean, that was a reconstruction.
Yeah.
And,
I'll tell you what, that piece on 140. It is, you know, I look at our reclaims and stuff, and that was hold in place, so that was my first hold in place experience. It is, I don't see any cracks in that road.
No.
Except for that.
Yeah.
Small area.
well, there you go.
Well, a little bump.
All right, well, I didn't.
Don't talk. My literal thorn in my side.
I go over and giggle.
I avoided 140 as much as I can, so I don't have to hit that. ball.
Just go north.
Just go north.
Yeah.
Go south. Go south.
Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that drives me nuts.
Well, you see what they did.
Elvis.
Yeah.
All right,
Super
I think
team.
I think we should call an adjournment unless somebody else has anything else. You guys have anything? No? Okay, we're adjourning at 8:40.